Professor Petra, Abdulsalam-Saghir, the head of Department of the Department of Agricultural Extension and Rural Development at Federal University of Agriculture, Abdulsalam. You are welcome to the 18th webinar series of FUNAAB, and the title of this webinar is Fostering Gender Responsiveness in Higher Education Institutions for a Vibrant Research and Development Future. The objectives of this webinar. Number one objective, we have about 6 objectives to achieve quickly this morning. Number one objective is the understanding gender responsiveness in the context of research and development. We also want to identify challenges and opportunities for achieving gender equity in higher education institutions. We want to see why gender responsiveness in higher education really matters. And then we want to capture successful strategies and case studies from global and local institutions. And we now must dive into actionable steps fostering a gender-inclusive culture to enhance collaboration and outcome. And then we zero in on the FUNAAB story and future direction. I love talking about my university, the Federal University of Agriculture, Abdulsalam, that is, the best university of agriculture in Africa. I love talking about it so much. The university was established in 1988 under the Federal University of Agriculture Decree number 48 of 1992, and it has a tripartite mandate of teaching, research, and community engagement, which we usually call essential services. FUNAAB recognizes the leadership in, and is recognized for their leadership in gender equity with zero tolerance for sexual harassment and gender-based violence. The university also boasts of 10 colleges, 45 departments, and still counting, and other centers and directorates. The university itself is ranked among the top 9 universities in Africa by the Higher Education World University Ranking of 2022, and is currently ranked first in Africa as Best University of Agriculture, and is also a home to multi-million-dollar agricultural projects enhancing small farmers' productivity and policy development. Now, before we move into what we need to discuss today, I need to bring to your attention some of the terminologies you may be hearing. We need to talk about gender. What is gender? A lot of times people mistake gender to be women. Gender is not all about women, but gender means social construct of prescribed, prearranged roles and responsibilities, expectations, characteristics, behaviors, and relationships, and rights, privileges, and exclusions. And gender is dictated dictated by the society. It's what society bring to fore on gender issues that really matters this time. Now, we also need to talk about gender responsiveness. Gender responsiveness is the outcomes that reflects an understanding of gender roles and inequalities, and which makes an effort to encourage equal participation and equal and fair distribution of benefits. Now, gender responsiveness in higher education institutions is the practice of ensuring, let's note that one, the practice of ensuring that educational policies, programs, and practices are equitable and inclusive of all genders in all our programs and projects in our institutions of learning. It also involves recognizing and addressing the different needs, experiences, and contributions of male, female students and staff at the managerial level, to the administrative staff, to the teaching staff, the academic staff, and also the students in the institution. So as I need to bring to you some analogies and comparisons. Let's compare this. If gender responsiveness is not factored into what we do in our various higher institutions of learning, is like we should just imagine the healthcare services. if the system, the healthcare system, if it doesn't bring to consideration the issue of gender, then that means if they are not able to provide support services for all genders, so there's a need for to just as healthcare system, we need to address the need of all patients irrespective of gender, even in inclusive teaching methods. Just as a guardian needs diverse plans and inclusive classroom benefits from diverse teaching methods that cater to all gender. And then for policy development, developing gender responsive policies in education is similar to creating inclusive business practices that value every employee's contributions. Why gender responsiveness? Why do we think gender responsiveness matters in higher educational institutions? If you see my drawing, everybody in my drawing in the illustration that I just put up now they are very confused. Even the eggheads, they are very confused about why there is a need for gender responsiveness. If we don't consider gender responsiveness in higher institutions, in a tertiary institution of learning, we are missing it. There is a need to do that because it ensures that research outcomes benefit everyone without fear or favor, without leaving anyone behind. It also promotes equality and inclusivity. It enhances the quality and relevance of research. It also creates an environment where everyone has equal opportunity to succeed, and it improves learning outcomes. It increases diversity, and it also portrays social equity. Again, gender responsiveness also matters because it enhances institutional accountability. The institutions, the management level, the managerial levels, they are accountable to gender responsiveness, and it's a way of making it more vibrant. The research that culture is more vibrant, is more inclusive, and it leads to fostering innovation and equity. And then it also brings the uniqueness in experiences and needs of all gender, and leading to more accurate, impactful development and beneficial outcome. Now, we talk about challenges in achieving gender equity and gender responsiveness in higher institutions. There are some challenges. We have the challenges of cultural and social norms. The challenges is deeply rooted, in our cultural and social norms, which often perpetuates gender stereotypes, biases, making it difficult to achieve gender equity. An example in some regions, there is a prevailing belief that certain academic disciplines are more suitable for men than women, which can limit women's participation in those fields. Again, there is also gender biases in recruitment and promotion in higher institutions. Gender biases in recruitment and promotion processes can hinder the advancement of both men and women in academia. Example is the gender barrier to obtaining leadership positions or tenure due to implicit biases and discriminatory practices. Then we also look at limited access to resources. These are some of the challenges: limited access to resources and opportunities, limited access to resources, funding and opportunities for professional development compared to male counterpart. Let me give you an example. Promotion exercises in the higher institutions of education is centered around about delivery without putting consideration to gender issues. Let me give you an example. Two professors, a male and female professors, may not be able to be promoted at the same pace or at the equal time because productive and reproductive responsibilities for the female professor may sometimes debar her from meeting up with the requirements for promotions. The promotion requirements, for example, in FUNAAB is having some according to rank, having some papers, some articles in peer-reviewed journals, impact factors and the like. The rate at which a male counterpart will turn out his own articles, his own papers, his own published work is quite different from the pace and the rate at which a female counterpart, a female partner, a female colleague will be able to do that, because maybe at that time when the papers are required, maybe she's on maternity leave, she's doing one thing or the other for the family, she's taking care of the home, and so on and so forth. And some of these things limit the female gender from aspiring or from taking up opportunities. Now, we also have the challenges in harassment and discrimination. Gender-based harassment and discrimination can create a hostile work and learning environment, discouraging women from pursuing careers in academia. Look at the diagram that I just showed you. This diagram is portraying a woman who definitely is the mother of that young man. The young man wanted to send his wife to school for advancement, but the mom, because she did not go to school, she is insisting that why do you want to change the existing ones? She doesn't want her son to send the wife to school. And then the son is asking, is it wrong to send my wife to school? So gender issues, gender responsiveness is embedded. Gender issues is embedded in the cultural and societal norms that dictate what happens to who and who does what. So again, in the higher institution, we also look at the challenges of work-life balance. I said something about maybe not having time, reproductive time is encroaching on other reproductive activities, encroaching on other activities that are needed. So the challenge here is that balancing work and family responsibility can be particularly challenging for women than men, affecting their career progression. So now we have talked about this. We are looking at opportunities for achieving gender equity in higher education institutions. Number one opportunity is policy reforms. We need to implement and enforce gender equitable policies in the higher institutions to create a more inclusive and supportive environment. We also need to train and create awareness on programs on gender equality that can help change attitudes and reduce biases. We also need to allocate resources. It's not enough for us to say, we are gender responsive, but you must create resources to ensure equitable access and to resources and funding, which can help people to advance in their academic career. Then we need institutional commitment. There is a need for strong institutional commitment to gender equity, which can drive systemic changes and create a more inclusive environment. We should stop paying lip services. I remember there was one time people called me that I should just, because the project they want to write proposal on, I wanted to look at both the interplay between men and women. So they called me as a gender specialist. They said, please, can you help us put women on this proposal? I told them, I said, I don't do that, because there's a need for me to read from the design stage of that proposal to even the implementation. So it is not just putting women all over your proposal, but you must, from the onset that you are proposing, that you want to write a proposal, you must. So there's a need for strong commitment to gender issues. And then again, we need to look at the mentorship and support networks. We need to establish, even in our institution, there's a need for us to establish mentoring programs and support networks that can empower women and help them navigate their academic and professional journeys. And any other person, any other gender that needs to be lifted up, we need to do mentorship and support networks for them. Now, we are going to look at successful strategies and case studies on gender responsiveness in higher education. If you look at another diagram I just put up, is talking about gender-based violence or sexual harassment issue. So in the successful strategies, we need to have a comprehensive gender equality policies. The strategy is that they will need to implement comprehensive gender equality policies that covers recruitment, promotion, and resource allocation. We have statistical digest in FUNAAB here, and when you open the statistical digest, it's printed on yearly basis. You see the numbers of male, female promotion, that's gotten promotion, that's in the recruitment, even the enrollment pattern for our students is gendered. So we need all higher institutions, they need that kind of strategy. So, and again, there's a need to integrate gender sensitive teaching methods and materials into the curriculum. I remember that even at the grassroots level, even in primary schools, you see a lot of textbooks that is gender biased, that has been used even at primary school levels, at secondary school levels, when you see photos of a boy child driving a tractor, sitting on a tractor, comfortably on a tractor, or wearing lab coat and putting on a stethoscope to be a doctor. And then you see other pictures depicting female children sweeping the floor and washing plates. What are we saying? We are saying, is it that educational sector is saying that the life aspiration for women or for the girl child is just kind of put on hold to the household level alone, without aspiring to become doctors, or without aspiring to have to drive, how to drive tractors, or how to have a digital knowledge and the rest of them. So we need to be careful, even with our curriculum, with our teaching materials, to ensure that gender issues are factored into all of this. And then we also need to establish measures to prevent gender-based violence on campus. We need to do that. We may not, we may be just pretending by shying away from gender-based violence and the issue of sexual harassment on campuses. So we need to have the strategies to establishing measures to prevent such occurrences. Now, there's a need for us to talk about gender responsiveness in agricultural research and development at FUNAAB. And I'm using FUNAAB as case studies so that any other higher institution of education can leverage on this, and we can collaborate together and ensure that gender issues and responsiveness is factored into their own higher institutions. Now, FUNAAB significant strike started a long time ago, like a decade ago, when some of us won the prestigious African Women in Agricultural Development and Research Fellowship that award African Women in Agricultural Research and Development based in Nairobi, Kenya, put up. A lot of us in FUNAAB, we won that fellowship. We also, some of us also won the One Planet fellowship also. And in the tradition of Harvard also would like to incorporate and consider strongly the issue of gender. So what they decided was that, okay, there's a need, we are developing individual level education on gender issues. So why don't you look at the way we are going to develop, how we will develop people's like institutions capacity, how we will strengthen institutional capacity on incorporating gender, on gender responsiveness in their research and what they do. So in 2018, award in collaboration with FUNAAB and USAID and Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation started what we call GRAD, Gender Responsiveness in Agricultural Research and Development at FUNAAB. And with that, we started moving and achieving a lot of gender responsiveness, even from the management level down to, cascading down to our programs and curriculum in the universities. As of 2016, FUNAAB has its own gender mainstreaming document, which was not transformed into gender policy. And then a committee was set up by the Senate to look at gender policy, that the gender mainstreaming document, and review it. So we call them Gender Policy Review Committee. And then in 2022, FUNAAB was able to launch its own gender policy document. A lot of institutions, they don't have all that. They don't have gender policy documents. But we at FUNAAB, we have that, and it's just because of the award intervention that we got. Now, under that GRAD, there are many training initiatives, both physically and virtually. We train people on gender mainstreaming and gender responsiveness, cutting across researchers, lecturers, management and admin staff from across Nigeria, not even in FUNAAB alone, but across Nigeria. And then we also established coaching clinics for science skills course participants to enable them to know how to equip them with the knowledge to be gender responsive. Then we have stakeholders engagement, which we hosted workshop for revised gender policy. Then we decided that, okay, there's a need for us to have 2 docu-series, and we distributed needs assessment, gender policy documents. And so the impact of GRAD initiative for FUNAAB now is that there is increase in female participation and affirmative actions. Affirmative actions in the sense that we noted that there are some core sciences courses that women the traffic for women's enrollment and admissions, they are not there. So FUNAAB took affirmative action that for a particular course, they channel some students with affirmation to engage to use that course, irrespective of the fact that it's a core science, because a lot of times many courses in the core sciences is gendered already. People always think that it's reserved and is within the purview of the male gender. So FUNAAB is taking affirmative action to correct this. And then because of the impact of GRAD, there's improved research outcomes for FUNAAB. Now we are not talking about we are not pushing out one-sided research outcomes, but we are looking at the balancing the stories between both men and women, what the research outcomes looks like. And then it also enhances institutional reputation. As we are doing, as we are making gender responsiveness in FUNAAB, it's enhancing our institution's reputations. Many organizations want to work with FUNAAB because they are gender responsive. And then even we also do national and international collaborations. And this has gone a long way to portray FUNAAB in a right light, and is making FUNAAB to sit in the front burner of gender issues, even in the world. And then even everywhere we have professional MSc in Gender Development Studies that is instituted in the Department of Agricultural Extension and Rural Development. It also helps to increase gender inclusive peer review articles. Now a lot of staff, academic staff, they are churning out gender inclusive peer review articles, and their papers are accepted and is making impact globally. It also helps us to, our teaching methods has also changed, and we are teaching now with a gender lens. We are not teaching outside, but we are teaching as a gender, using our gender lens to teach. And all this also helps in strengthening the mentoring programs and management accountability towards inclusion. Actionable steps that higher education institution can take. You can learn from FUNAAB experiences. The number one thing that can be done if you want to be like FUNAAB as an institution that wants to be gender responsive, the first thing is to conduct a gender audit. FUNAAB has done this. We call it institutional needs assessment. We have done this, and it involved teaching academic staff, non-teaching staff, our students, everybody, all stakeholders within FUNAAB. So if you want to do this, you want to do your gender audit to look at the gap, the disparities that we are talking about that is not helping you to be gender responsive. And then when you do that, you collect gender disaggregated data so that it will not be you are talking about one-sided story. You want to build back better, and then you want to ensure that you do not leave anyone behind. And whoever you have left behind, you want to bring them to the forefront so that you will not waste your time, you will not waste your energy, you will not waste your resources. You already know where to go to and what to do. So, and then when you do your gender audit, you're also looking at the gaps, the disparity between male and female. And when you are reporting, you are balancing by certain data to back up your claims. Then the next thing is to develop and update. If you don't have policies, you need to have a policy. You need to develop it. If you don't have, and if you have it, you need to review it, to update it, and implement. You must implement. You don't just write gender policy and put it on the shelf. You must implement it. You must implement it. And all those other policies that address gender discrimination must be incorporated into the gender policy. The ones that addresses harassment and biases must also be, and even for people with different challenges, you must incorporate all of these people in your policy. The number 3 is the gender. You must, as you are writing, you must ensure that your write-up is gender neutral and is inclusive of everybody. You must use inclusive language. You must engage stakeholders. You must target training, mentorship programs, and then by doing that, after you have completed that, you have to learn how to collaborate with other allied institutions and other organizations, other international organizations. There are a lot of interest on gender issues. Now people are asking questions behind the data collected, behind the mathematics, behind the information that you are passing across. We want to know who is who. If you are talking about female farmers, you cannot generalize farmers and say it's just farmers. No, we want to see if they are female farmers, if they are male farmers, because if you are making generalization, there are differences in interest. There are differences in coping strategies. There are differences in the way all of us view life. Let me give an example. If you are putting up a new variety of maize, for instance, there is a need. If you are putting up a new variety of maize, there is a need to consider for female. They always consider the issue of taste, color of the early maturing maize, the color of the taste, acceptability, and so on and so forth. But the female, for the male gender, what is behind their mind is to make profit. So you need to do that. You need to look at that. We also need to oversee and promote gender inclusive initiatives and create safe and inclusive space. You must promote gender inclusive research and curriculum. And as I do this, you need to go in and do periodic monitoring and evaluation progress for learning. Whether you look at the performance indicators, regular assessments, data-driven adjustment for learning purposes, and then you need to customize frameworks like GRAD, what FUNAAB has been able to do and is doing, and then you need to look at opportunities for collaboration and share your learning. Now, for future directions, what are we saying? In order for us to move towards a vibrant research environment, higher education institutions must expand their scope of gender-responsive initiatives to other institutions. We must collaborate. We can't do it all alone. We must be savvy, gender savvy. A lot of even the so-called gender socialists, they are not gender savvy. It is not in numbers. It's not because we want to do something, we need to put women as a representative. No. Any woman that you are putting must be gender savvy. It is not we need to put women now in your project. You go and put your wife who is not gender savvy, who doesn't even know how to what to look out for in research, in gender research and learning. So we must have that conscious effort at ensuring that we are gender responsive in our initiative, and then we also must strengthen partnership with national and international bodies. There are a lot of partners that are looking for collaborations. And they are looking to build, our gender responsiveness progress. Also, we also need to look at the purpose for which we are doing that gender responsiveness. We need to utilize gender equity as a means for addressing global challenges like climate change and food security. Now, for me, in conclusion, for now, the key takeaway for me is that gender responsiveness is key to achieving vibrant research and development in higher education. And then the FUNAAB's GRAD framework offers a practical model for success. Together, we can foster equity, innovation, and sustainability. But for me, the call to action for everyone now is that there is a need for collaboration at national and international level on gender responsiveness, research, and development in higher education institutions. We also need to engage with resources. There are a lot of resources out there, and then we also need to share best practices. We need to commit to institutional changes that promote gender equity. And then we also need to, in our pedagogy, we need to look at how we can beef up our curriculum to ensure that we are gender responsive in our teaching, in our curriculum. Because if you don't do that, we may be relegating half of the population to the back stage. If you don't look at these issues, we may be regulating half of the population to the back stage. So we need to also ensure that men, most often the men colleagues, they have a lot of resources, they have a lot of experiences that they can share. Let's not look at them as enemies, but as partners in progress, as partners that we can work with, that can even help us to strengthen even our gender responsiveness. We can use them as our advocates, and we can also be they can help us. We can be colleagues and work together in progress. So let's not see anyone as no, this is a female, this is a male, I cannot work with this woman, I cannot work with that man. Let's work together to ensure that no one is left behind, and if anyone is left behind, we want to go back and build back better, so that everybody, all of us, will be on the same page and on the same issues. So thank you very much for your attention. Now we are at the question and answer session, and someone said, on the student-lecturer relationship, what do you think should be done by students facing discrimination? Wow. what you need to do as a student facing discrimination is, that's why I was talking about mentorship. You need to go to your mentor before you even publicize it. Go to somebody you know that will be able to bear your burden, who will be able to look at this matter, you know, without fear, without favor. Somebody who will help you to tackle issues like this. I remember there was one lady that came to me for advice. Said somebody was harassing her. So what I did was that I sent her back. I said, go and greet that same person and tell that same person that Professor Petra is greeting you, and you are a mentee of Professor Petra, and that she is greeting you, that he should be, you know, he should help you to mentor you accordingly. When the girl came back to me, he said, Esma, this your method, the strategy really work, because the man is not even looking at me at all. He's not even greeting me again. He's not even saying anything. When I went to him, what he said, when I delivered the message, he said, so you are a mentee of Professor Petra? Okay, bye-bye. And that was the end of the discrimination. So you must identify someone who will be able to help you to tackle this at the institutions where you have. So on this note, we need to round up this session. I'm showing you some of the concepts. I talked about the needs assessment. If you want a sample of it, you can go to FUNAAB website. It's there on the FUNAAB page. The needs assessment. We have some videos that you can also watch. There are videos you can watch that is relating to gender responsiveness and gender mainstreaming, and then we also have the gender policy document itself on the website. Again, I would like to thank you for the opportunity for listening to me. I'm available for any inquiry, any questions you want to ask. Again, my name is Professor Petra Saghir. Thank you so much for listening.